Yeah, the problem is, well, human progress comes from solving problems. That's it in a nutshell. Pretty much every step in human progress has been to solve some particular problem, and the general sort of underlying reason for that is the second law of thermodynamics, or entropy. That is, everything is running down. There are far more ways for things to go wrong than right. There's far more ways for things to be disordered than ordered, and therefore the second law of thermodynamics is the first law of life, as I say, that is to carve out some niche of order in a chaos of entropy. And, just simply, clean your room every morning, because if you don't, your room will get cluttered, and, wood rots, and metal rusts, and bodies run down, and so forth. And in that sense, things like poverty, they don't need an explanation. That's what you get if you do nothing. Poverty is the normal state of things. Prosperity is the hard thing to explain, and that requires some very specific anti-entropy, or call it extropy, as the extropians call it. And so just from there, everything we do is in a way kind of pushing back against entropy and solving particular social problems or medical problems, public health problems, whatever. And but that then requires understanding causality. That is, what is the cause of prosperity, or what is the cause of plagues? What is the cause of physical disability, or whatever? That requires an understanding the cause of things, and that is the kind of the realm of science and reason, science and philosophy, whatever you want to describe it. That is, figuring out, does X cause Y? Does A cause B? I mentioned patternicity earlier. That is, our brains have a tendency to just connect A to B no matter what David Hume called constant conjunction. A happens, then B happens. A happens, then B happens. You do that 3 or 4 times, the brain goes, okay, there's a causal connection there. A causes B. Right? That's the normal way of thinking. But oftentimes they don't. They're just accidentally causally connect, or just correlated but not caused, and therefore you need some mechanism to test it. How can we figure out if it's just a random pattern that my brain thinks is real, or it's not real? And the answer is science. There's an experimental method, a way of testing a particular claim, like we saw during early days of COVID. Does hydroxychloroquine attenuate or even prevent COVID-19? Okay, nobody knew. There was a few studies that suggested this or that. Well, then we put it to the test. Within 2 months, we had an answer. It doesn't work. Okay, so that you just take that principle and just apply it to everything. What's the cause of war? What's the cause of civil wars? What's the cause of violence? Why do people commit homicides, and so on? Those are the kinds of things we want to know, so that we can therefore attenuate them, or make them better for human flourishing. And so pretty much everything we all today experience that is positive for human flourishing is due to somebody figuring out the cause of the thing we don't want, or the thing we do want.
And figuring it out necessitates freedom of thought, freedom of expression.
Oh, yes, right. That's the other element. Yeah. Because nobody's omniscient, right? Not even Anthony Fauci's omniscient. Everybody's wrong about a great many things. So the only way to find out is to try your ideas out in the marketplace of ideas, or just mention them to your spouse or your friend, or go to a conference and present them at a convention or conference to your peers, or publish them in a peer-reviewed journal, or publish them in a book, or go on a podcast and tell people about your ideas, and then allow questions or comments to flow after that. The reason for that is because if you work in isolation, it's too easy to go down a side path that turns out to lead to nothing. And it's better to catch it early before you've gone off the rails. And the only way to do that is to engage with other people. So free speech is really the foundational right of all other rights. Because the only way for me to figure out what the other rights should be is if I present them to other people that are interested in also solving problems. So like if you look at the Federalist Papers in the years leading up to the writing of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, this is what they were doing. They were bouncing ideas off each other. Well, I think we should do this. No, let's not count that as a right. Let's count this as a right. And how do you know? Well, you do it by debate and disputation, argument, discussion, conversations. and so on, and nothing should be off the table. You're free to say whatever you want. And, you're going to get, of course, crazies coming out of the woodwork with that. Okay, the Alex Jones with their conspiracy theories about Sandy Hook being an inside job or whatever, 9/11. You're going to get that, but we have to allow that. And in any case, the response to bad ideas like that is better ideas. No, 9/11 was not an inside job, and here's how we know. And then he puts his evidence out, I put my evidence out, and you can decide for yourself. I even do that with the Holocaust deniers, which is a pretty odious, disgusting, really idea that's offensive to Jews, of course. But rather than just call them anti-Semites, which a lot of them are, that's irrelevant. Why are they wrong? How do you know that the Holocaust happened the way we think that it happened? Well, I wrote a book about this. So to me, the response to people like David Irving, who's a pretty strong proponent of Holocaust denial, or revisionism, as he calls it, he's wrong. And I've pointed out a great many times all the different places that he's wrong. That's the way to deal with it. And that's what we did. And, that's why he's kind of fallen out of favor, and he's largely disappeared. And that's the way to treat ideas like that.